Captain Lee Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of the human ship Sejong and looked at the green planet below. The planet had thick forests and blue oceans. It looked peaceful and empty. His crew had been exploring space for 3 months, looking for new worlds that humans could visit safely. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings," said Park Minji, the science officer. She was looking at her computer screen with worried eyes. "There are buildings down there, but no life signs." Lee walked over to look at her screen. The buildings were made of strange metal and had odd shapes. They looked alien, not human. "How old are these buildings?" he asked. "Maybe 50 years, Park Minji replied. "But whoever built them is gone now." Kim Tae-woo, the security chief, checked his weapons. "Should we go down and look around, Captain?" Lee thought for a moment. Exploring empty alien buildings could be dangerous, but that was their job. "Yes, but we stay together." "Choi Hyejin, can the ship's engines get us out of here quickly if we need to leave?" The engineer nodded. "The engines are working perfectly, Captain." The team put on their spacesuits and took a small shuttle down to the planet. The air was safe to breathe, so they took off their helmets. The alien buildings were empty inside. Dust covered everything. Strange symbols were written on the walls, but no one could read them. Yoon Ji-ho, the communications officer, was checking for signals with his equipment. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. It's very weak, but it sounds like a distress call." "Where is it coming from?" Lee asked. Ji-ho pointed toward the dark forest. "Deep in there, maybe 2 kilometers away." The team walked through the forest carefully. The trees were tall and their leaves blocked most of the sunlight. Strange sounds came from the shadows, but they saw no animals. After an hour of walking, they heard something crying. "That sounds like a baby," whispered Dr. Oh So-young, the ship's doctor. They followed the sound and found a small clearing. In the middle was a metal trap with sharp teeth. Something small was caught inside it. The creature looked like a mix between a wolf pup and a small monkey. It had gray fur and big, intelligent eyes. "Its leg was bleeding from the trap. Is that an alien?" asked Kim Tae-woo, keeping his hand on his weapon. Park Minji scanned the creature with her equipment. "It's definitely not from this planet. The DNA is completely different from everything else here. And look at its eyes. This creature is smart, maybe as smart as humans." The small alien looked at them with fear and pain. It tried to back away, but the trap held its leg tight. Dr. O moved closer, slowly, holding up her empty hands. "Easy, little one," she said softly. "We want to help you." The creature stopped struggling and looked at her. Its eyes seemed to understand that she meant no harm. "Captain," said Park Minji, "this is a big decision. If we help this creature, we might be breaking the rules about not interfering with alien life." Lee looked at the trapped creature. Its eyes reminded him of his nephew back on Earth, scared and hoping for help. Rules are made by people sitting safely at desks. This little one is hurt and alone. We help it. Choi Hyejin used her tools to carefully open the trap. The creature's leg was badly cut, but the bones were not broken. Dr. O cleaned the wound and bandaged it. The creature let her work without fighting. "What should we call it?" asked Yoon Ji-ho. Choi Hyejin smiled. "It's so small. How about Bit?" The creature seemed to like the name. It made soft sounds that almost sounded like it was trying to say Bit. They carried Bit back to their shuttle and then up to the ship. Dr. O made a comfortable bed for the creature in the medical room. Bit ate the food they gave it and seemed to feel better. "Captain," said Park Minji after running more tests, "this creature is definitely intelligent. Its brain is very complex, and there's something else strange." "What?" Lee asked. "The creature's DNA shows it's very young, maybe just a few months old. But its species lives for a very long time, maybe 200 years, and they have amazing healing abilities." That night, Lee sat with Bit in the medical room. The creature had learned to say a few human words already. It could say help, thank you, and friend. When Bit said friend and pointed at Lee, the captain felt his heart warm. "You're safe now. Little one," Lee told Bit. "No one will hurt you anymore." But Lee was wrong. High above the planet, hidden in the darkness of space, alien ships were watching. The aliens inside these ships were not friendly like humans. They were called the Kalreth, and they believed that other species existed only to serve them. Kalreth Commander Vex watched the human ship through his viewing screen. His species looked like giant lizards that walked on 2 legs. They had sharp teeth and claws, and their skin was dark green. Vex had been hunting for escaped slaves for weeks. "The humans have taken our property," Vex said to his crew. The small Nuri was supposed to be brought to the slave markets. Should we attack them now? Asked his second-in-command. No, Vex replied. First, we learn about these humans. Then we take back what belongs to us. Back on the human ship, Bit was getting stronger every day. The creature was very smart and learned quickly. It could soon say many words and even started to understand how human technology worked. Bit especially liked watching Choi Hyejin work on the ship's engines. This little one is amazing, Choi told the captain. Bit understands things that take human children years to learn. But Bit sometimes had nightmares. The creature would wake up crying and shaking. Dr. O would hold Bit until the fear went away. Through broken words and drawings, Bit tried to tell them about bad aliens who hurt its family. I think Bit's people were captured by someone, Dr. O told the captain. The poor thing has seen terrible things. Lee felt angry when he thought about someone hurting creatures like Bit. Humans had always protected children and small animals. It was part of what made them human. 1 week after they found Bit, everything changed. Yoon Jiho was on duty when his equipment picked up new signals. Captain, you need to see this, he called over the ship's radio. Lee rushed to the bridge. On the main screen were 3 huge alien ships. They were black and covered with weapons. The ships looked like they were built for war, not exploration. They're sending us a message, Jiho said. A scary alien face appeared on the screen. It had yellow eyes and sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was cold and mean. Humans, the alien said, you have something that belongs to the Kalreth Empire. Return our property immediately or we will destroy your ship. Lee looked at the alien calmly. We don't have any property belonging to you. We found an injured creature and gave it medical help. The alien's eyes grew angry. The Nuri slave belongs to us. Its parents fought against the Empire and were executed. The young one is valuable for dangerous work that would kill weaker species. Lee felt his hands turn into fists. These aliens had killed Bit's parents and wanted to use the child as a slave. That creature is not property. It's a living being and it's under human protection now. The alien commander laughed, but it was not a happy sound. You are just one small ship. We are the mighty Kalreth Empire. You will give us the slave or you will die. Then you'll have to come and take Bit from us, Lee said. He turned off the communication. His crew looked at him with worry and excitement. They were just one exploration ship against 3 warships. But they all knew that Lee had made the right choice. Battle stations, Lee ordered. We protect our own. Behind him, Bit had quietly entered the bridge. The small creature looked at the alien ships on the screen and made angry sounds. Then Bit walked over to Lee and took his hand. Friend, Bit said clearly. Protect, Lee squeezed Bit's small hand. Always, he promised. The war was about to begin. The 3 Kalreth warships moved closer to the human ship. Captain Lee watched them on his screen while his crew prepared for battle. The alien ships were much bigger than the Sejong and they had many more weapons. Captain, said Kim Tae-woo, their ships are 10 times our size. We can't win a direct fight. Then we don't fight directly, Lee replied. Choi Hyejin, can you make our engines run faster? The engineer was already working at her station. I can boost power by 30%, but it will be dangerous. Do it, Lee ordered. Bit sat in a corner of the bridge watching everything with big eyes. The small creature understood that the bad aliens wanted to take it away from its human friends. Bit was scared but also brave. It had learned that humans protected those they cared about. The Kalreth commander, Vex, spoke to his crew. These humans think they can fight us. Show them how wrong they are. Fire warning shots near their ship. Green energy beams shot past the Sejong. The human ship shook from the close explosions. But Lee did not surrender. Humans, Vex called over the radio. This is your last chance. Give us the Nuri slave and we will let you live. The answer is still no, Lee said firmly. Vex could not believe what he was hearing. In all his years as a Kalreth warrior, no weak species had ever refused his demands. The Kalreth ruled through fear and strength. They took what they wanted from smaller, weaker races. You are fools, Vex snarled. Attack! Destroy their ship! The 3 warships fired their main weapons at the Sejong. But the human ship was not where they expected it to be. Choi Hyejin had pushed the engines to maximum power, and the ship moved like a small fish avoiding big sharks. Their targeting systems can't keep up with our speed, said Park Minji, watching her instruments. But we can't run forever. Lee knew she was right. The human ship was fast, but the Kalreth ships were powerful. Eventually, the aliens would hit them with their weapons. Kim Tae-woo, do we have anything that can hurt their ships? Lee asked. The security chief checked his weapon systems. Our guns are small compared to theirs. But their ships are old designs. Maybe we can find weak spots. Yoon Jiho was listening to the alien communications. Captain, they're talking to someone else. I think more ships are coming. This was bad news. 3 Calreth ships were already too many for the Sejong to fight. If more came, the humans would have no chance. Dr. O was taking care of Bit in the medical room when the ship shook from another near miss. The small alien was not crying or hiding. Instead, Bit was making strange sounds that almost seemed like music. What are you doing, little one? Dr. O asked. Bit looked at her with serious eyes. Calling family, the creature said in its improving human speech. Dr. O did not understand what Bit meant, but she felt something strange in the air. It was like the feeling before a big storm, when the air itself seemed to be waiting. On the bridge, Park Minji's instruments were picking up something unusual. Captain, I'm detecting strange energy patterns. It's not coming from the Calreth ships. Where is it coming from? Lee asked. I think it's coming from Bit, she said, looking surprised. Meanwhile, the Calreth were getting angry. Commander Vex had expected an easy victory, but the human ship kept avoiding their attacks. His warriors were starting to wonder if their commander was losing his skill. Enough games, Vex roared. All ships focus fire on one spot. We will blast through their defenses. The 3 alien ships moved into formation and aimed all their weapons at the Sejong. There was no way the human ship could avoid such a massive attack. Brace for impact, Lee shouted. But before the Calreth could fire, something unexpected happened. Small ships began appearing out of nowhere around the battle area. They seemed to fade into view like ghosts becoming solid. Where did those come from? Kim Tae-woo asked in amazement. The new ships were small and sleek, with designs that looked grown rather than built. They moved like living things through space, flowing around the Calreth warships. Captain, said Yoon Jiho, I'm getting signals from the new ships. They're saying, thank you for protecting our child. Lee realized what was happening. They're Bit's people, the Nuri. On the medical deck, Bit was glowing with a soft light. The creature's song had become stronger, and Dr. O could feel the power in it. Bit was talking to its family across the stars. The Nuri ships attacked the Calreth vessels with weapons that seemed to bend space itself. Green energy beams curved around Calreth shields and struck their ships directly. The alien warships, so powerful against the human vessel, found themselves outmatched by Nuri technology. Impossible, Vex shouted as his ship's systems began failing. The Nuri are slaves. They have no warships. But he was wrong. The Nuri had been hiding, waiting for the right moment to strike back against their oppressors. When they felt one of their children calling for help, protected by strange aliens called humans, they decided to reveal themselves. The largest Nuri ship moved close to the Sejong. A voice spoke over the radio, gentle and musical like Bit songs. Humans of the ship Sejong, we are grateful for your kindness to our young one. We have watched your actions and seen your courage. You risk your lives to protect a child not of your species. This is the mark of true civilization. Captain Lee replied. We couldn't let harm come to Bit. Any decent people would have done the same. You are wrong, human friend, the Nuri voice said sadly. Many species would have returned our child to the Calreth for safety. You chose to fight instead. We will not forget this. The battle was turning against the Calreth. Their ships were damaged and their weapons were failing. Commander Vex knew he was beaten, but his pride would not let him retreat. All ships retreat to hyperspace, he ordered his fleet. We will return with more ships. No, said the Nuri commander. You will not hurt any more children. The Nuri ships surrounded the Calreth vessels. Strange energy fields held the alien warships in place like invisible chains. The Calreth could not move or escape. You cannot hold us forever, Vex said angrily. We do not need to hold you forever, the Nuri replied. Help is coming. Lee wondered what the Nuri meant. Then Yoon Jiho picked up new signals from deep space. Captain, I'm detecting human ships approaching. A lot of them. Park Minji checked her long-range sensors. It's a human battle fleet. 12 ships, maybe more. The cavalry was coming. When the Sejong had first encountered the Calreth, they had sent an emergency message to Earth. The message had taken days to reach human space. But the response was swift and powerful. Admiral Bae Junhyuk led the human fleet from his flagship, the King Sejong. When he saw what was happening, aliens threatening humans who were protecting a child, his anger was cold and terrible. Calreth vessels, Admiral Bay said over the radio. You have attacked a human ship that was protecting a refugee child. Surrender now or face the consequences. Commander Vex looked at the human fleet surrounding him. The ships were smaller than Calreth warships, but there were many of them, and the humans seemed very angry. You humans are fools to make enemies of the Calreth Empire, Vex said. We rule dozens of star systems. Our fleets will crush you. Maybe, Admiral Bay replied, but you'll never see that happen. The human ships opened fire. Their weapons were different from Calreth technology. Faster, more precise, and much more destructive. The Calreth had built their empire by bullying weaker races. They had never faced opponents who were both strong and angry. Within minutes, all 3 Calreth warships were disabled. Their weapons were destroyed and their engines were offline. The aliens could not fight and they could not run. On the Sejong, Bit ran to Captain Lee and hugged his leg. Thank you, the small creature said. You saved Bit, you saved family. Lee picked up the little alien and held it gently. That's what friends do, Bit. But this was only the beginning. The Calreth Empire was vast and powerful. When they learned that humans had humiliated their warriors and sided with their slaves, they would want revenge. Admiral Bay spoke with Captain Lee over the communication system. Captain, you've started something big here. The Calreth won't let this go. I know, sir, Lee replied. But it was the right thing to do. Yes, it was, the Admiral agreed. And now we all have to face what comes next. In the distance, the Nuri ships waited silently. They had been hiding for 50 years, staying secret while the Calreth enslaved their people. But now they had allies, strange aliens called humans who would fight to protect children. The war that would reshape the galaxy had begun with one small act of kindness, and it would end with the freedom of millions. The news traveled fast across human space. Within hours, every human colony knew about the attack on the Sejong and the rescue of the alien child called Bit. People watched the recordings of Captain Lee refusing to give up the small creature to alien slavers. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Bae Junhyuk called an emergency meeting. Military leaders from across human space gathered in the Great Hall, some joined by hologram from distant planets. What we're seeing, Admiral Bae told the gathered officers, is an empire built on slavery, attacking our people for protecting a child. This isn't just about one ship anymore. General Nam Sukja, head of planetary defense, stood up.
How big is this Calreth Empire?
Do we know what we're facing? Park Minji, who had been brought to Earth to share her research, activated a star map. From what the Nuri have told us, the Calreth control 43 star systems. They have been enslaving other species for over 300 years. The room fell silent. 43 star systems meant millions of ships and billions of soldiers. Humanity controlled only 12 systems with much smaller populations. The smart thing, said Commander An Minho, would be to give them back the alien child and avoid a war we can't win. Every person in the room turned to stare at him. The silence was cold and angry. Admiral Bay spoke slowly. Commander An, did you just suggest we hand over a child to slavers? An realized his mistake immediately. No, sir. From a strategic point of view, there is no strategic point of view when it comes to protecting children, Admiral Bay said firmly. That's not who we are as humans. Dr. Shin Yoonji, the chief diplomat, tried to find a middle path. Perhaps we could negotiate. Find some other way to satisfy the Calreth without violence. What would we negotiate? Asked General Nam. They want to enslave a child. What compromise exists for that? Meanwhile, across human space, something amazing was happening. The story of Bit and the brave crew of the Sejong had touched something deep in human hearts. On every human world, people were volunteering to join the military. Factories began working day and night to build new ships and weapons. Kim Minsu, a young man from the farming planet of Sejong 2, left his family's rice fields to become a starship pilot. If aliens think they can hurt children and threaten our people, he told his parents, they need to learn what humans are really like. Lee Hana, a brilliant engineer from the orbital stations around Mars, designed new weapons that could punch through Calreth armor. She worked 20 hours a day, thinking about the small alien child who needed protection. Back on the Sejong, Captain Lee was learning more about the Calreth Empire from the Nuri survivors. Elder Kesh, one of the oldest Nuri, explained their history through translation devices. The Calreth came to our worlds 50 years ago. Kesh said sadly. They demanded we become their slaves or they would destroy our cities. Some of us fought. Some of us hid. Many of us died. How many of your people are still enslaved? Dr. O asked. Millions, Kesh replied. They use us for dangerous work in their mines and factories. Our long lives and healing abilities make us valuable to them. When we get hurt, we heal quickly and can work again. Bit, who was growing stronger every day, listened to these stories with sadness and anger. The small creature had learned to speak human language well, and could now explain what had happened to its family. Mama and Papa led resistance, Bit told Captain Lee. They tried to free other Nuri children from slave camps. Calreth caught them and... Bit couldn't finish the sentence. Lee held the small alien close. They were brave, Bit, just like you. Will humans really fight the Calreth? Bit asked. They are very strong and very mean. Yes, Lee promised. Humans don't abandon their friends. 3 days later, the Calreth response came. A massive fleet appeared at the edge of human space. Over 200 warships led by Admiral Kang Seojin, one of the most feared Calreth commanders. Admiral Kang sent a message to all human worlds. You have interfered with Calreth property and attacked our ships. Return the stolen Nuri and surrender the crew of the ship Sejong for punishment. You have 1 week to comply, or we will demonstrate why the Calreth Empire has ruled the galaxy for 3 centuries. The human reply came from Fleet Admiral Bay himself. The child you call property is under human protection. The crew you want to punish are heroes. If you want them, come and take them. And so the war began in earnest. The first battle happened at the Titan mining station, where Calreth ships attacked human workers. Commander Park Sunwoo led a small human fleet to defend the station. The humans were outnumbered 3-1, but they had advantages the Calreth didn't expect. Human ships were smaller and faster than Calreth vessels. Human pilots like Kim Min-soo could make their ships dance through space like birds avoiding hunters, and human weapons, designed by engineers like Lee Hana, could strike precisely at weak points in Calreth armor. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 12 Calreth ships were destroyed and the rest retreated. The humans had lost only 2 ships. How is this possible? Admiral Kang demanded of his officers. Humans are a young species with primitive technology. Their ships move differently than ours, reported Commander Vex, who had survived his earlier defeat. And their weapons seem designed specifically to fight us. Kang studied the battle reports. The humans fought like no species the Calreth had ever encountered. Most races tried to build bigger ships and stronger weapons. Humans built smarter ships and cleverer weapons. But the real surprise came when human fleets began appearing deep in Calreth space. Ships led by Admiral Commodore Lee Hana struck at Calreth supply lines and slave camps. They freed hundreds of aliens who had been working in terrible conditions. Each freed slave became a source of information about Calreth weaknesses. The humans learned which planets had the most slaves, which Calreth commanders were cruel, and which alien species might join a rebellion against their oppressors. Lim Yuna, a brilliant human scientist, worked with freed Nuri to understand their biology. If we can figure out how their healing works, she told her team, maybe we can develop medical treatments for humans too. But Yuna discovered something even more important. The Nuri had a natural resistance to many toxins and diseases. They could survive in environments that would kill other species. This made them incredibly valuable as slaves, but it also made them perfect allies for dangerous missions. Working together, humans and Nuri developed new tactics. Nuri scouts could explore dangerous areas where humans couldn't survive. Human technology could enhance Nuri natural abilities. The partnership made both species stronger. Word of these victories spread across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds where the Calreth had enslaved other species, people began to whisper about the humans who fought to protect alien children. Some began to hope for freedom. The Vorthak, a peaceful trading species enslaved by the Calreth 20 years earlier, sent secret messages to human ships. If you truly fight for freedom, their message said, we will help you. We remember what it was like to be free. Soon rebellions were breaking out on Calreth slave worlds. The empire that had seemed so strong was beginning to crack under pressure from within and without. Emperor Vorthak, the supreme leader of the Calreth Empire, was furious. For 300 years, his people had dominated this part of the galaxy. No one had dared to challenge them seriously. Now a young species was not only fighting them, but inspiring their slaves to rebel. "Bring me the head of every human commander," he ordered his generals. "Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Calreth Empire." But the humans weren't easy to catch. They struck quickly and disappeared before Calreth reinforcements could arrive. They seemed to know exactly where to hit and when to run. On the Sejong, Captain Lee was working closely with Elder Kesh and other Nuri leaders to plan rescue missions. Bit had become a symbol of hope, appearing in human broadcasts to encourage the war effort. "Small actions can change everything," Bit said in one famous broadcast. "One human ship saved me. Now humans save millions. This is what good people do." The broadcast was secretly transmitted to Calreth slave worlds. Seeing the free Nuri child speaking confidently gave hope to millions of enslaved beings across the galaxy. But the war was far from over. The Calreth Empire was wounded but not defeated. Emperor Vorthak was preparing his ultimate weapon, a planet-killer device that could destroy entire worlds. "If we cannot rule them," he told his council, "we will destroy them all." The humans had started this war to save one child. Now they would have to finish it to save everyone. The war had been going on for 6 months when everything changed. Intelligence Officer Yoon Jiho intercepted a coded Calreth transmission that made his blood run cold. "Captain Lee," he called urgently from his station aboard the Sejong, "you need to hear this." The decoded message was simple and terrifying. "Planet killer weapon ready for deployment. Target, human homeworld Earth. Authorization, Emperor Vorthak." Captain Lee felt his heart stop. Earth was home to 8 billion humans. If the Calreth destroyed it, humanity would be crippled forever. "How long do we have?" Lee asked. "According to the transmission, the weapon will be in position in 3 days," Jiho replied. Lee immediately contacted Fleet Admiral Bay. The admiral's face on the screen looked grim when he heard the news. "We suspected they had something like this," Admiral Bay said. "A weapon that can crack planets open. The Calreth have used it before on species that fought too hard against them. Can we stop it?" Lee asked. "We're trying to find where the weapon is hidden," the admiral replied. "But space is big and they've had 300 years to build secret bases." Meanwhile, on the Calreth flagship, Emperor Vorthak was enjoying his coming victory. The tall, lizard-like ruler had green scales that shone like metal armor. His yellow eyes held no mercy. "Admiral Kang," he said to his military commander, "once we destroy the human homeworld, their spirit will be broken. The survivors will surrender and we can return to proper order." Admiral Kang was not as confident as his emperor. "Your Majesty, the humans have proven to be unusual opponents. They fight differently than other species." "They are just another weak race that got lucky," Vorthak replied. "Once we show them true power, they will bow like all the others." But Vorthak was wrong about human nature. When news of the planet-killer weapon spread through human space, people did not panic or surrender. Instead, they became more determined to fight. Commander An Minho, who had once suggested giving up Bit to avoid war, now led desperate missions to find the Calreth superweapon. "I was wrong before," he told his crew. "Some things are worth any risk." Dr. Lim Yuna worked around the clock with Nuri scientists to find a way to stop planet-killer weapons. The Nuri had lost 2 of their own worlds to such devices during their first war with the Calreth. "The weapon creates a chain reaction in a planet's core," Elder Kesh explained. "But if we can disrupt the reaction at the right moment, we might be able to turn the weapon's power against itself," Lim Yuna finished. It was a desperate plan, but it was their only hope. On board the Sejong, Bit had grown much larger over the past months. The young Nuri was now the size of a human teenager, with gray fur that sparkled with silver streaks. Bit's intelligence had also grown, and the alien could now understand complex battle plans. "I want to help fight the planet killer," Bit told Captain Lee. "It's too dangerous," Lee replied. "You're still young." "My people's songs can travel through space faster than radio signals," Bit explained. "If I sing at the right frequency, I might be able to interfere with their weapon." Lee realized that Bit was no longer the small, helpless creature they had rescued. The young Nuri had become a valuable member of their team. The breakthrough came when a group of escaped Vorthak slaves contacted the human fleet. The Vorthak were excellent engineers and they had been forced to work on the planet-killer weapon. "We know where it is," their leader, Tech Vorthak, told Admiral Bay. "It's hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid in the Crag Nebula, but the defenses are incredible. What kind of defenses? Asked Admiral Bay. 1,000 automated gun platforms, 50 warships, and energy shields that can stop anything, Tech replied. The Calreth have made it impossible to attack directly, but humans had learned to think creatively during this war. Captain Park Sun-woo had an idea that was so crazy it might work. What if we don't attack the weapon directly? He suggested. What if we make the Calreth bring it to us? The plan was risky beyond belief. Human forces would pretend to retreat, making the Calreth think they were winning. This would encourage Emperor Vorthak to bring his planet-killer weapon closer to Earth to ensure the humans couldn't escape. Once the weapon was out of its fortress, human and Nuri ships would attack it from all sides. At the same moment, Bit and other young Nuri would sing their disrupting songs to confuse the weapon's targeting systems. It's a terrible plan, Admiral Bay told his commanders. If we fail, Earth dies and humanity is finished. If we do nothing, Earth dies anyway, Commander On replied. At least this way we go down fighting. The fake retreat began. Human fleets pulled back from Calreth territory, abandoning recently freed slave worlds. To outside observers, it looked like humanity was finally breaking under Calreth pressure. Emperor Vorthak was delighted. You see? He told his council. All species break eventually. Order the planet killer to move toward Earth. We will end this war today. The massive weapon emerged from its hiding place in the Crag Nebula. It looked like a small moon covered with energy collectors and focusing arrays. Escort ships surrounded it like protective fish around a shark. As the weapon moved toward Earth, hidden human and Nuri forces moved into position. Ships appeared from behind asteroids and out of planetary shadows. The trap was set. All units, this is Admiral Bay, came the signal. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every child in the galaxy who deserves to grow up free. The battle was unlike anything seen before in galactic history. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species fought in the space around the planet-killer weapon. Calreth forces, surprised by the ambush, fought desperately to protect their ultimate weapon. Commander Park Sun-woo led a squadron of fast human ships against the weapon's escort fleet. His pilots, trained by veterans like Kim Min-soo, flew their ships like extensions of their own bodies. Remember, Park told his pilots, we don't need to destroy all their ships. We just need to get close enough to the planet killer for Bit's plan to work. Meanwhile, Bit and 12 other young Nuri were aboard a specially modified ship flying directly toward the weapon. Their combined songs created a harmony that could travel through space faster than light. Beginning disruption song, Bit reported to Captain Lee. If this works, the weapon's targeting system should go crazy. The Nuri songs hit the planet-killer weapon just as it was preparing to fire on Earth. The carefully tuned energy systems began to malfunction. Instead of focusing on Earth, the weapon's power started spreading in all directions. It's working, Dr. Liam Yuna reported from her monitoring station. The weapon is losing focus. But Emperor Vorthak was not ready to give up. Fire anyway, he ordered. Even unfocused, the weapon will damage Earth. The planet killer fired. But instead of a concentrated beam that could crack planets, it released scattered energy that harmlessly dispersed in space. The weapon had become useless. Now, Admiral Bay ordered, all ships attack the weapon directly. Human and Nuri forces, joined by freed Vorthak, Zelen, and other former slave species, converged on the planet killer. The massive weapon, designed to destroy worlds, had no defenses against ships attacking it up close. Emperor Vorthak watched in horror as his ultimate weapon was torn apart by the very slaves he had tried to keep in chains. This is impossible, he whispered. We are the Calreth Empire. We have ruled for centuries. Your rule is over, Admiral Bay replied over the radio. Surrender now and we'll allow your people to live in peace. But Vorthak's pride would not let him surrender. If I cannot rule, he snarled, then no one will. All ships attack Earth directly. Destroy everything. The final battle for Earth began as the remaining Calreth fleet, nearly 300 ships, moved toward humanity's homeworld. They would not use subtle weapons now. They would simply blast Earth until nothing lived. But they had not counted on what the humans had learned during this war. Working with their alien allies, humanity had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that fought not for conquest, but for protection. The defense of Earth would be remembered as the greatest battle in galactic history, and it would end the Calreth Empire forever. The final battle for Earth lasted 18 hours and changed the galaxy forever. 300 Calreth warships attacked Earth from all directions, but they found humanity ready for them. Around Earth's moon, human defense stations opened fire with weapons designed by engineers like Lee Hanna. From behind Mars, Admiral Park Sun-woo led a fleet of fast attack ships. And from the asteroid belt, Commander An Minho brought heavy battle cruisers armed with the newest technology. But the humans were not alone. Nuri ships flowed through space like silverfish, their songs confusing Calreth targeting systems. Freed Vorthak flew ships they had built in secret, designed to fight their former masters. Zelen warriors, grateful for their freedom, piloted fighters with weapons that fired crystal spears of pure energy. Emperor Vorthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion, watching his empire crumble around him. For 300 years, the Calreth had ruled through fear. No species had ever successfully fought back against them. Now dozens of former slave races were united against him. "Your Majesty," Admiral Kang reported, "we are losing ships faster than we can count them. These humans fight like nothing we have ever seen." Vorthak's yellow eyes burned with rage. "Then we will make them pay the ultimate price. Set course for Earth's surface. If we cannot win, we will at least destroy their homeworld before we die." The Dominion was the largest ship in the Calreth fleet, big enough to survive crashing into a planet. Vorthak planned to ram his ship directly into Earth's largest city, but Captain Lee and the crew of the Sejong were waiting for him. "Bit," Lee said to the young Nuri, who was now almost adult-sized, "can your people's songs do more than confuse targeting systems?" Bit thought carefully. Over the past months, the young alien had learned much about both Nuri abilities and human technology. "If enough of us sing together, we might be able to disrupt their ship's engines. But we would need to get very close." "How close?" asked Dr. O. "Close enough to touch their ship," Bit replied. It was incredibly dangerous, but Lee knew it was their only chance to stop Vorthak's final attack on Earth. "Do it," he ordered. The Sejong, accompanied by 6 other small ships carrying young Nuri, flew directly toward the massive Calreth flagship. Vorthak's ship fired at them with every weapon it had, but the human ships were too small and fast to hit easily. "Calreth Emperor," Lee broadcast to Vorthak, "this war started because you wanted to enslave a child. It ends because you still don't understand what that means." "What are you talking about?" Vorthak snarled back. "Children represent the future," Lee explained as his ship dodged Calreth weapons fire. "When you hurt children, you attack the future itself. Humans will never allow that." The small human ships reached the Dominion and attached themselves to its hull like tiny parasites on a giant whale. Inside these ships, Bit and the other young Nuri began to sing. Their combined song was the most beautiful and powerful thing any human had ever heard. It vibrated through the metal of the Calreth ship, reaching into every system and circuit. The Dominion's engines began to shake and fail. "What is happening?" Vorthak demanded as his ship started to lose power. "The future is happening," Lee replied. The Dominion lost speed and began to drift away from Earth. Its weapon systems failed one by one. Emperor Vorthak, ruler of 43 star systems, found himself helpless in a ship that no longer obeyed his commands. Around the solar system, the rest of the Calreth fleet was also failing. Without their emperor's leadership and faced with united opposition from dozens of species, Calreth commanders began to surrender. Admiral Kang, seeing that the war was lost, made a decision that saved millions of lives. "All Calreth ships cease fire and surrender. The Empire is finished." When the shooting stopped, the change was immediate and total. The Calreth Empire, which had ruled through fear for 3 centuries, collapsed in a single day. Ships that had once carried slaves now carried liberation forces to free the remaining prison worlds. 6 months later, Captain Lee stood in a garden on Earth, watching children play. Human children ran and laughed alongside young Nuri, Vorthak, Zelen, and even some young Calreth whose parents had chosen peace over war. Bit, now fully grown and serving as the first Secretary General of the Free Species Alliance, approached Lee with a document. "The treaty is finished," Bit said, offering the papers to Lee. 43 star systems are now free. Slavery is forbidden throughout the galaxy, and the Calreth homeworld will be supervised until they learn to live peacefully with others. Lee read the treaty with amazement. In less than a year, the galaxy had been completely transformed. "What will happen to Emperor Vorthak?" "He will be tried for his crimes," Bit replied. "But he will not be executed. We are better than he was." Dr. O, now serving as the director of Galactic Medical Cooperation, joined them in the garden. The healing centers are working well, she reported. Nuri medical knowledge combined with human technology is saving lives across dozens of worlds. Park Minji, who had become the head of the new Galactic Science Council, was excited about their latest discoveries. Working with so many different species, we're learning things we never imagined. The Vorthak understand space travel in ways we're just beginning to grasp. The Zelen have crystal technology that seems almost like magic. As the sun set over Earth, Fleet Admiral Bay joined the small group. The old soldier looked tired but satisfied. The last Calreth prison world was liberated today, he announced. Every slave in the galaxy is now free. How many people did we save? Lee asked. Nearly 2 billion beings across 43 star systems, Bay replied. All because one ship's crew decided to protect a lost child. Bit looked at the human children playing in the garden and smiled. Humans taught the galaxy something important, the Nuri said. That protecting the innocent is more important than following orders. That even small acts of kindness can change everything. Years passed and the changes continued. Human ships became known throughout the galaxy as sanctuary vessels. Any being in danger could reach human space and find protection. The human refuge laws became the foundation of galactic civilization. Captain Lee, now retired, spent his time teaching young officers from many species. He always told them the same thing. Remember that every child in the galaxy has the right to grow up free and safe. If you remember that, you'll never make a wrong decision. The Calreth themselves slowly began to change. The younger generation, educated alongside other species, learned that cooperation was stronger than domination. Some Calreth even joined human crews, working to protect the galaxy they had once tried to conquer. Emperor Vorthak spent his remaining years in comfortable imprisonment, writing about his mistakes. His final book, How I Lost an Empire by Forgetting Children Matter, became required reading in galactic schools. 10 years after the war ended, Bit visited Lee at his retirement home on Earth. The former child refugee was now a respected leader, but still remembered the human who had first shown kindness to a scared, injured alien. Do you ever regret it? Bit asked. Starting a war over one small creature? Lee watched human and alien children playing together in his garden. Some were flying with small antigrav packs, others were singing Nuri songs, and a few young Calreth were learning human sports. Never, Lee said firmly. The best wars are the ones fought to protect children, and the best victories are the ones that end with more children safe and happy. Bit smiled and watched the playing children. My species believes that small actions create big changes. Like waves in water, kindness spreads until it touches everything. Then we made some pretty big waves, Lee replied. As night fell over Earth, the lights of free alien worlds twinkled in the sky. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their tactics. It was their unwillingness to let children suffer, no matter what species they belonged to. The war that started over a cub had ended with the freedom of billions, and it all began because one ship's crew decided that protecting the innocent was worth any price. In the garden, human and alien children played together under the stars, growing up in a galaxy where freedom was protected by those strong enough to defend it. It was exactly the future worth fighting for.